Up, everybody? I'm gonna do something a little different today. I don't know if I'll make a prediction video on the fight night in Auckland. I want to. Uh, I should have started earlier in the week, especially with this one. This one should have been at the latest. It should have came out yesterday. Uh, I've been slacking off a little bit, but I intend on at least being more active. Trying to make more videos out on the channel. I gotta find something, some way, to get these ideas off out of my head instead of just, you know, there's only so much shadow boxing you can do at night before you accidentally, I don't know, put a hole in your wall. Like crap. But I want to make a prediction on Wilder. Wilder Fury 2. I think that's what they're officially calling it, Wilder Fury 2. And I wanted to start by talking about their first fight. Uh, we all know how that went. A lot of fans believe Fury should have got that, and I was one of them at the time when I watched it. Then I believe Fury should have got that. And I guess I still do, even though I didn't do the numbers on the like on the strikes or on the significant strikes between the two, but I generally don't focus on that much anymore anyways, cuz you know how I work. As soon as I watch a fight, I'm watching movement patterns, I'm looking for strategies, and if there's techniques I haven't seen before, or if there's techniques I don't understand super easily, like if I'm watching, like if I watch MMA, when I watch striking, it's just like I'm looking at movement patterns, defensive flaws, and defensive flaws and strategies. And then when the grappling happens, generally I go into looking at the techniques, because there, especially in terms of jiu-jitsu, there are so many techniques and so many setups to techniques that I wanna I wanna understand it as well as I do, striking or whatever. And I'm not calling myself an expert either, but that's generally how my mind works with the MMA match or whatever. Um, but back on topic, uh, Fury and Wilder, they both had a game plan. And they both had the opportunity to execute on the game plans. Wilder just land that right hand, kill him. Fury, obviously he wanted to land more, but for him, you could see for him, in order for him to land more, he wanted to get the timing on that right hand. Um, and it and it looks like he knew. It looked like he knew Wilder was going to be good at cutting off that Fury, or cutting off opponents in general. especially if he's the one if Wilder's the one moving forward. So it's better. So in order to hit the most without getting hit, or throw the most shots without getting hit, for Fury, the game plan was obviously stay long, bait that right, get that right hand out, bait that right hand out to get the distance on that right hand, and yeah, make him pay for the mistake. That was the general. Sorry about that. That was the general, game plan for Fury, and for up until round nine. Up until round nine, it worked pretty well, but but Wilder was adjusting, and I mean, he was adjusting because his execution of knocking someone out is generally the same. Left hand sets up the right hand. Um, whether it be 1-2 or something that I've seen common from him, lead hook and then right hand, or left hook then right hand. That's something I see common from watching Wilder fight. And at first, and he wants to get his distance and then land that right hand, you know. Uh, I think it was yeah, I don't know, in the first round, Wilder was throwing a lot of jabs. He's trying to measure that distance. And then but Fury being taller, and it looks like he definitely fought longer than Wilder. I think he's got a longer reach in general, but he'll have the length that he will always have the length advantage against Wilder because he's 3 inches taller. So unless Wilder, you know, had like a 90-inch reach or something, but no, I think he's got I think he has 80-inch reach or something. I didn't look at the stats for them, except what's thrown around the most is pretty much all I know. Actually, all I know stats wise are the heights on these guys. I didn't look into that too much. I wanted to get straight into their first fight. So, but his adjustment then from measuring with the jab was left hook into right hand. Throw a left hook to make you start going towards your left, away from my left hook into my right hand. That kind of that kind of trap. But Fury had that down. I mean, that's something he had seen before. Something he's seen before, and he most likely saw that in film, if he does look at film. But I think starting from round three, whenever distance was closed, and it wasn't exactly a clinch, where it wasn't exactly a clinch, and essentially Wilder's resting on Fury, even with his lead hand, and Fury has to find an exit out, and then he'll throw the combination right hand. And if Fury moves his head out towards his left, it's right hand, left hook. If he moves his head out towards the right side, then it's left hook, right hook. He'll set this trap But it's even easier to set this trap because Fury's bent over, so he's off. So he can't. He's bent over, so um, his head is over the line of his knee. Um, uh, so he has to straighten himself up. He has to straighten himself back up. The only real defense he has from that position is head movement, but you're already, halfway bent. So getting head movement isn't that easy, Getting even lower, you either got to go up high as fast as you can, and his adjustment while he's doing that is to roll. You've seen Fury roll a lot, where you just duck under that, but you know, you're already bent over, so that's probably harder to do. It's definitely harder to do. But you started seeing that, I think it was in the third round, but it started to become more prevalent. You know, Wilder was getting the sense of timing for Fury's defense in those positions, and that's what set up the knockdown in round 9. And when that position happened again after that, which it did a couple of times, there was no real uh, adjustments made. There was no real adjustments made in round 12, and that's what led to the knockout. You know, and Fury was, by all accounts, that dude was knocked out. You know, he just, number one. When the ref got to 2 or 3, that's when Fury came to, and I mean, you all seen it. We all seen it. But yeah, it's not unwinnable for either fighter, which we definitely know that now from the first fight. Uh, there are adjustments that could be made. I thought from watching the first fight, as far as like Wilder, I think he can make quite a few adjustments to be a little more difficult. Uh, he has a tendency, as far as head movement, to sort of like the tendencies you have if you don't know any technique, which is if a punch is coming at you to lean back. He has a little bit of that tendency, but leaning back on the taller fighter, especially when the taller fighter is throwing straights, and even more especially when he's throwing his jab, he can land the right hand behind that. He can still attack you, and you know, even if you're way out of distance for headshots, body's open. So I would say if he worked on slips more, getting on the inside, also showing the right hand and landing and looking for the left hand towards it, looking for the left hand, and not just towards the head, but towards the body as well. You kind of make you to what is it? He draws him into defending the left hand more, so that the right hand can be more present. And I'd say also in fight, constantly pressure and look to in fight. If you can create this the same situation as what led to the knockdown and knockout in the first round, if you're consistently able to create that kind of situation where you can rest on top, that means First of all, initially you have head control, and you know where the head's gonna move when he starts moving, or you'll know at least after the first time that happens, and that could lead to another knockout that ends the fight. That could potentially end the fight. So that's how I see those adjustments, or what I see Wilder can make from the first fight. And Fury, hmm, I mean, he has to fight like he pretty much, has to fight like the taller, longer man. You know, that is, I'm sure that is the game plan for him. That was the game plan for him in the first fight, and obviously that's the game plan for him in the second fight. I think in terms of adjustments he can make to make sure he stays the fleet moving man and can play the longer, taller fighter. Well, the longer fighter strategy. Um, when he throws, he should look. It seems like he should look for the his right cross rather than the right hook. Even though there's a shot, even though that shot was always available for him, like after his jab. Well, it was available for him more after his jab than the right cross, as far as landing something that could be impactful. But you remember you would see a lot jab and then right hook rather than jab right cross. But if he goes 1-2 rather than 1-4, and you and do the defensively responsible footwork after that, jab, cross, and then step with that back leg behind the opponent and slide the lead leg there, and sort of take the angle, create angles of escape, you know, especially because Wilder has a tendency to lean back, and he's likely going to have a tendency not to step back as well as pull on Fury's jab. And especially when he does those stutter steps, because those, I imagine those are going to be there in this fight as well for Fury. If he sees a lot of, these little jerks back from Wilder, as well as stepping back, then he'll know that he's going to lean back on his jab, which means he's likely going to step back, and if he and he's going to take away he's going to take away the angle he's trying to create to land his right hand, but especially when he's reacting to those stutter steps, and especially if, it's a 1-2 and then Fury steps out on that angle. Yeah, Fury should try to do whatever he can to stay away. I mean, he's got to stay away from the ropes, because he does, infighting with Wilder is, I think that's the worst thing to do. If that happens, you're more likely. I think it's going to be more likely for an another knockout. You know, if I had to choose, as far as a prediction, I predict this fight's going to be very similar to the first fight. I would say I'd have to go, with the most skilled fighter in this, in my opinion, which is Fury. I think whether he gets the nod or not, if it happens just like the first fight, I if it happens just like the first fight, then I would say Fury won that fight. I believe Fury won the first fight on skill, on being he was the more effective fighter up until the point of the knockdown and knockout. I do think that's worth more than any single jab or right hand that Fury landed on Wilder in the first fight. But that's one knockdown and that's one knockout, which the knockout is considered a knockdown because because of the 10 count rule. So it's two knockdowns in a fight. Other than that, throughout the fight, Wilder landed maybe five to I'd say 5 to 8 strikes total in that fight in 12 rounds, including those shots. I didn't, like I said, I didn't count how many times Fury landed a shot. I think all the shots Fury landed, you know, were probably worth more, or maybe the same. But if choosing someone, I'd have to go. I'm going with Fury to win that fight. I think it goes the distance, and I think he beats him convincingly. Anyway, that's my breakdown of Wilder Fury 2. I hope you all enjoy the fight. You know, I can't wait to watch it. It'll be later for me than all of you, but I think it's going to be an exciting fight. And thank you for listening and watching. If you like my content, be sure to hit the like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see y'all around.